So, like I said, I visited John Allen Jr. Twice, Saturday and Sunday, and he gave us a rundown of the top 10 Pope Francis moments so far in his papacy. And then the following day, he gave us a few things to what to look out for in this coming year. So I'll just go over some of the top three things of his top 10 list. Um, he was just dropping like random facts left and right as he was telling his stories because he just knows that much. If you don't know much about him, uh, visit his website crux with an X now.com, and it's his news website of all things Vatican and the global church. It's really neat. But one of his 10 items, one of the things that stood out to me was the "Who am I to judge" quote. You might have heard it. He spoke it on the way back from Brazil. And there was a whole other fiasco going about some bishop that he appointed and a companion that he was found with or that he was with. I don't know too much about that, but Pope Francis offered at that time. He said, "Well, since we're on this subject, would you guys be curious about my view on homosexuality?" And of course, everybody's like, "Yeah, are you kidding me?" Like he says, the journalists are like, "I can't believe this is happening." Like he's just giving us news. But Pope Francis basically said, someone who is homosexual, uh, of good will and of good heart, who am I to judge? You know, if they're truly seeking God, who am I to judge? And that line was just mind blowing. If anybody's to judge, the Pope is to judge, right? He says this guy that represents the Catholic faith, the Vatican. They're the ones supposed to judge. Justice and mercy is kind of what they are, isn't it? But Pope Francis saying that line says, hey, I'm no better than them. Hey, I'm following Jesus' commandments, not to judge anybody and to love our neighbors. He's saying, I am just like everyone else, a sinner. Who am I to judge? Awesome, right? Another one was his Philippine trip. He visited an island, Tacloban, I believe it's the name of the island, and there's a huge storm that hit there, devastated him. But he says, "No, I'm going there." That he even went to talk to the pilots when they were in the air and said, "Are you guys scared to land?" He says, "Well, to be honest, Pope, this isn't the best conditions. We would not like to be flying or going into land in this area." He's like, "Well, that's fine. Just give me a parachute and I'll go down there myself." Of course, they landed, and he was celebrating the open air mass to those hundreds of thousands of people that were there in the storm. Like it was raining hard and the wind was crazy. And John Allen shared the story that there's some aides that said, "Here, Pope Francis, I have some umbrellas. I'll cover you with it while you celebrate mass and do everything else." And they were just having such a hard time because of the wind. Pope Francis was like, "You guys are making it way too hard. Just give me a poncho what they're wearing." Something so simple like that means the world to everybody who's watching Pope Francis and to those who were in attendance, because he was going through he was suffering through the climate, right, through the weather, just like they were. And you can see those pictures of Pope Francis celebrating Mass in a poncho, just like everyone else. And I'm sure Pope Francis didn't think much of it, you know. But at the same time, they say Pope Francis is always crafting what he does. He's aware of what it means. And that could have been a moment, but I'm sure it was a simple moment compared to everything else. Another one was the USA trip when he came. I was lucky enough, and if you see my other videos, there's some telephone interviews that I did. That's right, I said telephone. and the significance of his trip here and the different stops that he made. His whole papacy has been going out to the peripheries, right, to reaching those who are forgotten in many cultures. And he visited a school in Harlem, but John Allen was saying that visitation really signified that there are those who are forgotten even in the best of countries. Kind of like a slap to the face to the Western cultures. And I don't think that the island over there across the globe is what the peripheries mean. No, there are people within your own borders that need your help, that are the ones who are forgotten. They're the ones who need your assistance. And that really, I saw that as calling me out to saying, hey, I need to act here where I'm at in my neighborhood to those who are around me, my brothers and sisters, right? So that was really cool, along with him visiting St. Patrick's Cathedral, his address to the UN, to Congress, and all that. Very monumental. And then the Year of Mercy that we just concluded in November. Now, the Year of Mercy, John Allen was saying, the Year of Mercy and the whole theme of mercy is the beating heart of this papacy, of Pope Francis' papacy. He said it's the Rosetta Stone of everything that he does. It's going to come off the theme of mercy. He's really driving that message to everyone. Everything that he does is the Year of Mercy. It is done with mercy. It's really cool. And then he went to the second day. He went to talk about of things to look out for the coming year of Pope Francis. He said he's going to be traveling quite a bit. The only one that's confirmed for sure is his trip to Fatima. It's going to be 100 years since the apparition, and he plans on going there in May to celebrate that. So that's going to be really, really neat. And of course, I'm sure we'll hear a lot of the conspiracy theories about the third Vatican Fatima secret. If you don't know all about that, you can YouTube or look it up online. There's tons of conspiracies about that. He also wants to go to Africa, visit Congo and South Sudan. Those are very two troubled countries currently right now. I believe Congo, he said Congo, there's a civil war going on that's been going on for a really, really long time, and that's claimed more victims than World War I and World War II combined. That's insane that's still going on. So he definitely wants to visit those areas and highlight that and highlight what's going on in our world. And maybe I was surprised by it. I knew there was things going on, but I did not know to this extent. So imagine when Francis goes visit these countries, what it's gonna do. He also wants to go to Colombia. He said if he goes to Colombia, it's to celebrate the peace deal that's just recently been done with the rebels and the government there. This very fragile peace deal, but he wants to go and celebrate the fact that there is even one. The longest civil war that's been going on, longer than 60 years, more than 60 years of civil war. And finally there's a ceasefire, there's a deal set in place right now. That's very fragile. But Pope Francis definitely wants to go and celebrate that and highlight that and give him pats on the back, basically saying, hey, keep it up, great job. But John Allen was saying, don't be fooled. Pope Francis was very, very much involved in the deals behind this. That he was at one point weekly phone calls with the president of Colombia to see what's going on, to update him, how can I help? So he helped. And to what extent, we don't know, but he was definitely behind the scenes trying to make this deal happen. And it's in place now. So he wants to go visit that place and really celebrate the fact that there's peace right now. He wants to go to India and Bangladesh to really show and really emphasize the interfaith relations that he's is all about. Just today, he went to go visit an Anglican church, and he talked about the interfaith and ecumenical community within both churches, and how they would like to how they work with their differences, and how they need to journey together to understand one another. So to go to visit India and Bangladesh, there's definitely interfaith there. And he also wants to applaud the growth of Christianity there. He says it's been growing a lot among the communities there. And also to reach out to the Christians that are there who suffer a lot of violence there. John Allen says, let me see if I can find. He says there's more Christians and Buddhists in Asia. But the physical violence against Christians in India is the highest in the world. So he definitely wants to go visit them, those who are persecuted, and to tell them, hey, you're not forgotten. And then he gave 2 footnotes, things to look out for. In May, there's a G8 summit in Italy, and guess who's going? Trump. Trump is going. And it'd be very rare, or it'd be very odd, John Allen says that if he doesn't go and schedule a visit with Pope Francis. Now, Pope Francis and Trump. He joked, who wouldn't want to be a fly on the wall for that, right? And that's very true. You can only imagine how it would be. And knowing Pope Francis, he may totally underplay the whole thing. He's aware of what's going on, but recently John Allen was saying to Pope Francis, the world is not the United States, right? So every now and then he checks up. He has obviously those people appointed to keep him in the know of what's going on here. But it'd be very, very interesting to say. Also, with those two, Trump and Pope Francis, John Allen Jr. was saying journalists should be on their knees thanking God for the Twitter accounts of both of them because they're giving them so much to write about, he said. And then a bunch of facts that he was dropping. 7 million Catholics in the USA. That there's 10 million divorced and remarried Catholics in the United States. And that was huge because he talked about the documents, Amoris Laetitia, and how that's been very controversial within the Vatican crowds, wanting a clear yes or no answer of can the remarried and divorced receive communion or not. And that's a whole fiasco. Again, if you go on his website, there's a whole story on that. But it was really neat things to look out for in the next year and to get a glimpse of what John Allen knows. So it's pretty neat. See ya.